And looking back, if I could talk to my younger self, I would slap the living daylights out of myself. And what are you doing? Good afternoon. Today is November 24th, 2023. It's the day after Thanksgiving, and wanted to make a video, not to sound too much like Dwayne from Dry Creek Wrangler School, but man's inspiring. Hopefully we can get a video off today. Got some geese honking. There's a flock nearby. Hopefully they don't interrupt too much, but I want to make a video about Thanksgiving. It's my favorite holiday of the year. I think you can combine all of them into Thanksgiving and what it means. Now, I like Christmas, I like 4th of July, I like Easter, Labor Day, Memorial Day, all of them. But I think Thanksgiving just really encapsulates all of them in one. Because you're thankful for the military. You're thankful for the laborers that run the industry of the country. You're thankful for Easter if you're a Catholic, and you're thankful for Christ. You're thankful for Christ again on Christmas, the birth of Jesus. You're thankful for so many different things, and I think especially in the people that I know, I've met various people that seem to complain a lot, and I don't think it's justified. I think in today's day and age, we have so many things to be thankful for. If you read any history book, you can see how harsh life was for everybody. Young, old, rich, poor, man, woman, life was really difficult. Shoot, I mean, think about Middle Ages, how much disease was rampant, famine. I mean, I know that kings and queens ate well, but they were still susceptible to disease. And you think even the richest of the rich of the society still had a harsh life. They still had wars to fight. I mean, they were attacked for their resources constantly. I mean, it's just thinking about how harsh life was makes me think about how easy life is now, yet we still complain. And I've talked to many people that I think have a very good life, in my opinion, but like I said, they still complain. So, I mean, just to name some things, I mean, think about your health. Sometimes you come home from work and you have a bad day, but you're healthy, right? I mean, I know somebody that's paralyzed. I think they would give anything just to have a functioning body, but a cold. You think, oh, I hate getting sick. Okay, well, it could be worse, right? Something like sleep, right? You wake up and you think, oh, gotta go on about my day, gotta go to work. It's like, well, at least you got sleep. I know a few people that is not guaranteed. They have trouble sleeping. Something like plumbing. You take for granted that you go in the sink, go in the bathroom in the sink, and there's water that comes out. Clean water. That you don't have to walk 5 miles to a well, like some people do in Africa somewhere, to get water. Right? And some of those people, when they go into the water to wash their clothes, they have to worry about a crocodile coming up and snatching them. Right? I mean, fortunately here in America, we don't have to worry about that. I mean, a house to live in, right? We take for granted waking up and go, oh, I gotta go to work. It's like, well, at least you have a house that you woke up in and a warm bed. Yeah, it may not be a sleep number or something like that, but you still got a warm bed. It's not just a rickety cot, you know. My brother went to Brazil, and he was describing how poor people are in Brazil. He was saying that he was looking at a mountainside, and there was just little makeshift shacks that families we're living in. I think what excuse do I have for waking up on the wrong side of the bed when I have a bed to wake up in? I mentioned a job. Now, I know I have known a lot of people that do not like their jobs. And they said, "Oh, I would rather have a different job, or I hate my job, or I like my boss, or whatever the case may be." But you have a job. I know economy can fluctuate, and sometimes you may get laid off. You may lose a job for whatever reason, but at least you have a job. You're bringing in money. Education. I know a lot of people in different parts of the world don't have access to such things. Like I heard in Afghanistan, women are not allowed to go to school. It's not that they don't have school, it's that they're not allowed to go to school. If they do, I'm sure they'll be shot. So, I know most of my viewers are younger people, younger kids, and I was in the same boat. I thought, I hate going to school. Like, well, I think when you get older, you'll be happy that you had the opportunity to go to school. And seeing other people in different parts of the world, it's something that you don't want to take for granted. Speaking of other parts of the world, freedom. Now, I live in Michigan, in the beautiful country of America. I know some of my YouTube viewers are from Great Britain. I can only speak for America because that's where I'm from, and I love this country. I think it's the greatest country that has ever existed, in my opinion. And I think about what we fought for to have this. How many men and women have died for what we have. And I think I can never just forget about that. I mean, you don't think about it every second of every day, but you got to wake up and realize that I wouldn't be doing this here in this beautiful country if it wasn't for the men and women that fought and died for it. And I could talk extensively about that, but just a general overview of the freedom that you have in America, a country like this. Freedom of speech. That's been an off and on thing throughout history, and I'm grateful that we live in a country that has that. Freedom of travel. I don't live in North Korea, where I'm not allowed to leave. Or Soviet Union, where you're followed by men in dark suits. So I think that's one thing that we can never take for granted, is the fact that we live in a free country. On the other hand of things, it's one thing to say, oh, I'm grateful for education, I'm grateful for food and water, and grateful for a house, grateful for a job. It's one thing to say that, but it doesn't really sink in until that time has come for you. Now, I'm sure if I made this video and showed it to my younger self, I would think, oh yeah, whatever. But as you get older, I think you learn to understand how good these things are in your life. It's not like I'm going to make this video and you're going to watch it and have an enlightening moment in your life. It's probably not going to happen. I hope it does, but it probably won't. But the more things that you can hear, read, and understand over time, kind of the better your mind is becoming, because you're getting stronger. Like those thoughts are really starting to sink in. Like the sooner you can plant that seed, the better. Now, like I said, when I was younger, I didn't really understand much of what I'm saying. Like it's one thing just to hear, oh, be grateful for what you got, but it doesn't really sink in right away. That's why I'm hoping that you can watch this and learn just some piece of it for your later self, so that later on you can think about these things, think about other things that you're grateful for, and really start to understand what they mean instead of just hearing this guy on YouTube talking about it. As I know for me, I would hear something and then it would take a while for me to really understand it. So I'm hoping you can hear this and just take the time to think about what I'm saying and think about the things that you're truly grateful for. And now the other things that you should be grateful for, which are very difficult to understand, are the hardships in your life. Now, like I said, this is not something that I would have understood even 5 years ago. But going through life, you have to understand that hardships are necessary and that nobody's life is perfect. You don't wake up with the body, the age of a 5-year-old, just waking up full of energy, no aches and pains. Your life is perfect. That doesn't happen for anybody. So the sooner that you can build up your mental strength, the better. So whether it be like you got fired from a job, or you having relationship problems, like, you have to understand that these things happen for a reason. And you can either be resentful and hate the world, or you can say, all right, this is unfortunate, but it happened. Things happen. It's the way she goes.
It's the way she goes.
And some people, like I said, choose to be resentful. But other people choose to learn. And I think that we're on earth to learn. And I think it takes a wise person to truly learn and understand, okay, this is what I did wrong. And this is what not to do again. That's the important thing, what not to do again. And so, like, for example, with relationships, I haven't really told many people about this, and I'm looking back, I'm kind of embarrassed about it. But the first girl that I ever talked to, I was just chasing her. She was not really interested. She seemed nice. She wasn't a bratty girl, but she wasn't really interested. The only reason I was talking to her is because she was the only one that really gave me an ear to speak to. And I thought things were going well, but they weren't. And then she just said, thanks, but no thanks. I'm not really interested. And I just broke down. I remember just crying in the car. And I remember sending texts to my friends and explaining the situation and all this stuff. And I mean, I'm really embarrassed by how I acted by that. I mean, it was stupid. But that was the first experience that I ever had like that. And looking back, if I could talk to my younger self, I would slap the living daylights out of myself. And what are you doing? You think this is the only girl on this planet? No. I mean, that was, like I said, that was my first experience with talking to a girl before, and I didn't know how to handle it. But that was a very emotional experience, so I remember it better, and I moved on. It was hard at the time, but it's the way she goes.
It's the way she goes, buddy.
So, thinking about that, was it hard in the moment? Yeah, it was really hard. But I learned from it. I know that it's not always going to go your way. It rarely ever is, because finding a spouse is one of the hardest things to do in life. And you just got to realize, yeah, it's not going to work out every time, so just go in softly. Don't go in thinking, oh, this is the one. Right? Failed business ventures. I know, gosh, how many times, like, for example, Elon Musk, and I think it was 2008, he had the choice of saying, okay, I can either downsize Tesla and SpaceX, or I can keep one at 100% and let the other one die out. And I'm sure that's the one story that I've heard, but I'm sure that's not the only business hardship that he's had. Like, you think how many millionaires and billionaires were flat broke? They had tried multiple business ventures, they just were not working, but sooner or later, one popped off. You think how many hardships do those people have to get where they are today? It's never going to just work on your first... Well, I shouldn't say never, but very rarely is it going to work on your first try where you start a business from scratch and it just works, right? Like, these people have had failure after failure after failure, learning what not to do for them to finally make a business that works. So you have to be thankful for all of these hardships that you go through to learn what not to do. These people learn what not to do, and now they're successful. Another one would be family members passing. I think the first close family member that I lost was my grandpa. And I remember when he died, I wasn't surprised because he was in poor health. But it was a shock. I mean, that was the first close family member that I lost. And I remember when my brother got the call and he said Grandpa died. I remember that, like, I'll remember him saying that for the rest of my life. I remember walking to the hospital room. I remember the funeral. I remember crying and crying and crying. Just, I couldn't believe it. But now, knowing that death is a part of life, I know that people around me are going to die. I'm going to die one day. And I'm better equipped to handle it, because I know it's a part of life. And when you're young, you think life is going to last forever. I remember being in first grade and thinking that the 8th graders were like a lifetime away. Like, being in 8th grade was so far away. I couldn't even fathom how much time would have to go by between first grade me and 8th grade me. But now an 8th grader is a kid. So I know that I'm going to die one day. People around me are going to die. And I know that God's plan. So going through death was hard with my grandpa and then grandpa or grandma. But you got to prepare yourself because it's coming sometime or another. Injuries are really hard to get through. I know I'm not feeling 100% right now of going to the gym, but I'm kind of restrained, but it's a hard lesson I had to learn. Now, when you're young, you think, oh, can move mountains, but Father Time will catch up, and I'm not old now, but definitely I don't feel like a little kid anymore. But it's a hard lesson to learn. But you have to be thankful, even though it sucks, that you learn your lesson now instead of later, because as time goes on, your body doesn't hold up anymore. So you have to be thankful for the hard lessons that you learn with your body. Eat healthy, exercise, keep your heart healthy. Another thing for young kids would be breaking rules. I broke rules. I'm sure you've broke rules. Nobody's perfect. And I remember breaking a few rules and getting in trouble. And I thought, this is terrible. I've done something wrong. But at least you have the self-conscious to know, okay, I've done something wrong. And also, too, when I was a kid, I'm I'm thankful that my parents set boundaries on me. Now, when I was a kid, I didn't like it. Like, I remember one time wanting to go see a movie that all my friends were seeing, but I wasn't age ready for it. It was probably an R-rated movie, and I was just a kid. And I was thinking, well, how come all my friends get to go see this movie and I can't? Like, well, if all of your friends jump off a cliff, are you going to jump off a cliff too? So, thinking back to when I was, 7th grade or something, yeah, I wouldn't have let my 7th grade year old kid, if I had one, watch that movie. It's too young. I didn't understand it at the time, because all I knew was that I wasn't going to see the movie with my friends. But thinking back, yeah, I wouldn't want any 7th grade kid to see an R-rated movie. It's inappropriate. So, I'm thankful that my parents put boundaries on me and limits on me, because I didn't know any better. And thinking back to all the decisions that my parents made, at the time I was angry, but now I'm thankful, because I know that's the right thing to do. Like I said, it's hard, but as you get older, you understand. And just to wrap this video up, just be thankful for all the hardships that you have, because God has a plan. It's up to us to lead ourselves and our future generations through life. But with hardship, eventually comes success. And like you think about all the superhero movies, Batman, both of his parents were killed. I know it's something that Andrew Tate has mentioned before. Hardship is a very crucial part of life. Be thankful for the hardships when they come. I know it's hard, but you have to understand that, alright, a hardship is just an opportunity to learn. And if you don't learn, if you just resent, you're never going to get better. So whenever hardship comes, stop and think, okay, what can I learn from this? Because I guarantee you there's something. You may not see it now, but there's something. So, hope that helps. I want to say happy Thanksgiving, and see you next time.